just to help show how we can use Excel and the formulas to transfer information into our accounting equation. And so we'll just go ahead and get started. I have the Critical Thinking Assignment 1 pulled up, and it has this information, kind of the background information, and then it has the November 1st through the 30th different transactions that happened, and it's telling us to analyze the effect of each transaction on the accounting equation. So on November 1st, we received cash $16,500 to begin the company, and we issued common stock to the two owners, Jenny and Josh. And so that's increasing cash for $16,500, so I'll just type it in the cash location. And then it's also increasing common stock. So I'll click on common stock, which is a subset of equity, and I'm going to press equals, which tells Excel I'm about to tell you to do something for me. And so that's kind of the starter of all of our functions and formulas we're going to do. And then I'm just going to click where I already typed 16,500, which is in cell P4, click on it, and that creates the cell reference. And you can see up in the formula bar, it has equals P4. And then you can also see in cell AD4 equals P4. So it's, you can see it both places, and that's all we're going to do for this cell. We could, of course, tell Excel to do other things like add it to something or subtract it or whatever we'd want to do next. And so that's our first set. The second, we signed a lease for a building and paid $1,150 for the first month's rent. And so that's a decrease in cash. So on transaction 2, we're going to put a negative $1,150. And the other end of that is that we have a rent expense. So I'll come click on rent expense, and then again equals cell reference, the first place that we typed it, and press enter. And now we have to do a balance for each of these two spots. So we'll say we could do a sum function, or we could just add them together. So we could say equals arrow up to P5 plus arrow up twice to P4. So it's reading equals P5 plus P4, press enter, and it gives you a total. And that's how we could just add it, but if you had more than 2, you might want to use a sum function instead. So that would be equals sum, open parentheses, and then select the first one, and while you still have your mouse clicked, drag down into the second space, and so now you can see that it has this little like marching ants around it, and you can see in the formula bar it's saying sum from P4 to P5. Close parentheses, press enter, and it gave us the same answer, of course, and then we can copy that into the other places that we want to balance. So we'll say Ctrl C or Command C, and then jump over to the common stock, and I'm going to do a paste, well, I'm just going to do a paste, so Command V, and it pastes it there. For this one, I'm going to do a paste special. So I'm going to say Command Option V, or if you're on a Windows, it's Control Option V. And I'm going to say just the formula and say OK. And the reason for that is because if we had just said Command V, let me copy. Okay, there it goes. You can see that it also copied over the line on the left-hand side, the left-hand border, and it's not that big of a deal. I'm just a little anal, I guess you could say, and I don't like it, so I want it to not have that line there, so I just did a paste special instead. On the 3rd, we purchased canoes for $5,800 on account. So we've increased our canoes by $5,800, and we've also increased our accounts payable by that same $5,800. So in the accounts payable equals cell reference, and that's taken care of. And so now we actually don't even have to type that balance formula again. We can still copy this and paste it into this row as well. So we'll click back into P6 where we did the formula the first time. We'll say Command C, click into the balance row, which is P8, and hit Command V. And so you can see if you click in your formula bar that it pulled down where it was going to sum down 2 rows. And so Excel tries to be like smart, I guess you could say, and when you move where you're pasting it, it also moves with you unless you lock those cells in, which is something we'll talk about in a different time. So don't worry about locking the cells for right now. I'm going to select all 4 of these places. I'm going to do Command Option V, tell it to paste just the formulas, and there we have it. So we'll do one more together. On the 4th, we purchased office supplies on account for $850. So office supplies increased by $850. Accounts payable, we're going to reference, so equals T9. Then again, copy this sum function, and we're going to paste it. And in case you're not aware, I'm holding down Command to select all 6 of these cells at once. On a Mac or on a Windows, I think it's Control or Shift to select multiple at once. And then again, I'm going to do Command Option V, formulas, and it's pulling them all down. And so that's just faster than having to one at a time type them or one at a time paste them. And so then one other thing while we have this open right here, we could always do a double check that our assets, it does balance to our liabilities and equity by just highlighting, so clicking in P10 and highlighting and dragging across to all the assets. And down in the bottom of Excel down here, we see sum 22,000. And then we'll click in the accounts payable, so starting with the liabilities and come all the way across, and we see the same thing, sum 22,000. So a lot of people don't realize that this quick average count and sum is right here, and it can be really useful just to get a quick glance without having to actually do a function. And I thought you could like left click on these, yeah you can, and change what it displays. So I have average count and sum selected, but you could also do a numerical count, a minimum and a maximum, if that's helpful to you. Okay, I hope this helps.